Good evening, welcome to the program. Today we are going to see something related to purchasing and sourcing. It's called purchasing policy and procedure. Purchasing profession is very critical to the success of supply chain and overall the management of organization. In a product based organization, purchasing spend more than 50% of expense towards material, and in a non product based organization it may be around 20 or 25% of the spend goes towards purchasing either material or services. So it is essential that there are some corporate strategy is developed, and that should be communicated to all the professionals in the form of policy and procedure. Possibly it can serve as a reference and provide a boundary for operating these professionals. Also, if any new purchase professional is joining the function, he can be trained by using this procedures. So let us see some of these aspects. Allow me to show you the screen. So let me share the screen and okay, now hope you are able to see the screen, also able to hear my voice. So before going into the topic, let me introduce myself. My name is Pattabhiraman. This is my LinkedIn profile. You are always welcome to connect or follow me in LinkedIn. My profile is basically I am an engineer with PG degree in management and data science. I have worked nearly 2.5 decades in this large organization, predominantly in supply chain domain, and 10 years in this organization I have served as a head of supply chain and handled various subdomains in supply chain, including purchasing. And last 4 years I have been heading this current organization known as thoughtware training. As far as my certification is concerned, these are my certification from Apix. These are core supply chain certification. In fact, nowadays, purchasing professional are also expected to do such certification. I have seen in some job description from a multinational company requiring purchasing professionals, and something similar from demand driven institute. But what is more relevant is I am also a certified purchasing manager from ISM. Now that certificate is replaced by CPSM, certified purchasing and supply management. And I am also a project management professional. I am also qualified in analytics. As far as our organization is concerned, we are based in Bangalore and a 5-year-old organization. We provide both consulting and training in the field of supply chain, logistic, and purchasing. We operate under a trade name of Expert SCM. And these are our contact information. We do a lot of live as well as self-paced program. You can reach us through any of this information. Coming to the term policy, I hope you may be aware about the difference between policy and procedure. First, let us see the policy. It refers to a set of purposes, principles, and rules of action that guide an organization. Maybe it is also called standard operating procedures, SOP. Also sometimes it is called rules and regulations. So it specifies the methodology or procedures in which you can take up your activity. This could be mostly formal in the written format. In some organization it can also be informal when the organization is small, and they are being developed as a organizational culture. Coming to the advantage of using policy is it clearly defines and clarify the top management objectives, and it provides a framework for consistent decision making and action, especially when the organization have multiple branches, and they have purchasing professional placed at various location. Then it provides a framework for their operation, defines and rules and procedure for all the employees. Okay, but when we use these policies, of course some innovativeness, creativeness is going to get blocked, and possibly it is also very difficult to communicate throughout the organization, might be viewed as a substitute for effective management, may restrict innovation and flexibility. But irrespective of this, there are many advantages of policy and procedure. What makes for an effective policy? It should be action oriented guidelines relevant to the current situation, concise, unambiguous, and well understood, timely, and current. It should be helpful in solving or resolving the problems. Categories of purchase policies could be defining role of purchasing professionals, defining the conduct of purchasing professional. We are dealing with a huge amount of spend, and there is a possibility of misconduct. So there should be a clear procedure or policy on that. Defining social and minority business objective. Possibly this minority is related to US related rules. Defining buyer and supplier relationship, and defining operational issues. Let us go through each one of this to understand what does it mean. Defining the role of purchasing means origin and scope of purchasing authority, objectives of purchasing function, corporate purchasing office responsibility. When the purchasing or the plans is spread across geography, then possibly corporate office should take the responsibility of defining a strategic planning, and also the roles of planning. Coming to the purchasing authority, authority to conduct business and represent organizational interest. As a purchasing guy, you are an interface between the organization and the vendor, and you represent, your action represents your organization. Okay, created by a executive committee, authority to delegate certain tasks and assignment to other functional areas. So all this should be very well defined in the policy. Describe the scope of and limit of authority. Coming to the objectives of purchasing function, select a supplier that meets a requirement, purchasing material and services that comply with the appropriate standard, could be internal standard or ISO standard related to the product. Promote buyer supplier relation and encourage supplier contribution or participation. Treat all suppliers fairly and ethically. This point is more related to small scale vendors or MSME type of vendors, apart from minority vendor, which is popular in US. Other objective could be work closely with the internal functions, conduct a purchasing operation to enhance community and employee relations, support all corporate objectives and policies. Hope these are clear, and each points are very clear. But what is expected is policy should define what are the steps to be taken by the respective professional, maintain a qualified staff, and develop professional capability. Okay, defining conduct of purchasing professional is one of the important aspect of the policy. like it should start with the ethics policy, since huge amount of spend money is involved here. Ethics plays a bigger role. A reciprocity policy, we will see what exactly is this in the coming slide. Contacts and visit to the suppliers. Former employees representing a supplier, this could be a conflict of interest. Reporting of irregular business dealing with the supplier. So these are some of the conduct by the purchase professional. Even if you are not involved in inappropriate business relationship, if you find anyone in the organization doing, there should be a form of reporting procedure. When we talk about reciprocity, in sometimes it may be possible you force your supplier to buy our product. Okay, maybe you are tying up your purchase with the purchase of our product, which seems to be unethical and not acceptable as a behavior, professional behavior. Giving preference to supplier that buy from you, expecting supplier to purchase your product as a condition for securing purchase contract. Maybe even today you may see many organization does this, and it is not so much ethical. Looking favorably on competitive bids from the supplier who buy from you. This is what called reciprocity, which should be avoided at any cost. Former employees, maybe they know all internal procedures, authorization, and other thing, so they have insider knowledge, and this could be a problem if they are coming back to us as a representative of supplier. Then that's not ethical, because main reason is access to insider knowledge. We may include a ban for a stated period of a time, maybe 1 year or 2 years in employee contracts. Knowledge of policies and procedures of our organization to these former employees. Also, they have a good relationship with the buyer personnel, which could influence the contract. Irregular business dealing. This is what we call inappropriate business relationship, for which there should be also a reporting mechanism, to whom it has to be reported and what are the methodologies involved. Specify a proper office for reporting. Create safeguard to protect a reporting party or whistleblowers. Coming to report suspected irregularity as soon as possible before major damage is done to the organization. Example of some of the irregular dealing could be accepting bribes or kickbacks, cronyism, accepting late bids, and you are giving some relaxation to specific vendor, owning a stake in a supplier company. Other behavior not considered part of a normal course of doing business. Of course, the list goes big, because it is not only direct influence. There are many other activity which could indirectly influence the contract mechanism. So these things should be avoided, and if you are aware of this happening, better it should be communicated to the higher management in the required form, and accordingly there should be a policy on that. Defining social and minority business objectives, especially the social objective, how you are going to treat to the society. So there should be guidelines on that, apart from treating your own employees in terms of wages, overtime, all that. But the main specific issue is related to minority business holder. In Indian condition, it could be small scale vendors or MSME vendor. Do you have a preference towards these type of vendor? In fact, minority is not considered in Indian constitution. In fact, I believe there is no formal rules and guideline with respect to government authorities on social and minority business objective. If you any of you are aware about any of such compliance requirement, you can always comment in the LinkedIn comment or reach to me. Okay, support minority business supplier. Here we will assume them to be a small scale vendors, but in US it could refer to the people who are migrants or other minority community. Also possible that diverse kind of supplier. For example, they also treat businesses owned by women as a minority, but in India we don't generally give such a preference, though it is essential in the current day practice. Okay, but the challenges could be lack of access to the capital, supply base optimization initiative, which our organization is trying to do, which is in conflict with developing such minority suppliers, inability to attract qualified managerial and technical professionals by the vendor organization, and they are also relatively small size. So with all these challenges, where possible, involve this small scale vendor so that they also get possibility or opportunity to grow. Coming to the challenges for buyer in such situation, it could be possible limited resources for supplier diversity, lack of executive sponsorship, need for supplier development initiative like process improvement, leadership, and corporate commitment. When coming to environmental policies now required by government, investors, and major customer, but in India still this policy has to pick up. Use of recycled material, promote this strict compliance with the local, state, and federal regulation with respect to environmental conditions, proper disposal of waste material, especially hazardous material and electrical and electronic waste, disposal, documented disposal of hazardous material. So you see, there is so many the activity performed by the purchasing professional requires a clarity and directive which is aligned with the corporate policies. So you need all this for that matter. Also, this should include labor and human right policies. So what kind of practice is done by the supplier? Maybe you are going to get it at lower cost, but is the vendor is following, practicing all the necessary human right policies, possibly in terms of living wages, safety and security over time? All this has to be considered, maybe a part of your contract with the vendor. Implement back through the supply chain. It's not only with your direct vendor, first year vendor. It could also propagate further down to other vendors. So I have given a brief presentation. This is a part of our program called Certified Sourcing Expert, which is a self-paced program which is available in our site. If you are interested, you can always visit this site to know more information. If you need a brochure, you can also contact through this WhatsApp number so that we can respond back with our process. You know, in Indian condition, there is no proper education specifically related to purchasing or sourcing in any colleges or university. Unlike in foreign university, they have a well developed content available, but in India it is only through the job experience people learn. But I have tried to provide a program where people can get trained from end to end of managing sourcing activity. Whatever involved in the entire sourcing activity can be learned through our program. You are always welcome to visit these sites or contact through our WhatsApp number. Also, if you have any doubts or clarification, you are welcome to comment. And thanks for watching. Bye. Have a nice evening. Bye.